Hello, hello all. Uh, my voice is clear, right? Actually, it's loading. 1 second. Adichan, Vilasni, Himanshi Gupta. Hi, hi. Lakshmi Gayatri, Rajshekhar, Mahesh. Yeah, thank you. How are you all? Srikar. No, this is not our last class. Thank you, Guntur Michi. Okay, good, good. Yeah, we are just waiting for a couple of minutes to join everyone. Yeah, I'm fine, Himanshi. Rajshekhar, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, we'll start it off. Okay. So how are you all? And welcome to Practically, and this is Trinachutla. So have you guys started writing anything? Seeker, can you do a book review? Yeah, I will do that. Actually, you know, books are also, I read books, but not all the books. No, Rajshekar, this is not the last session. We have classes. Yeah, anyone has done anything like what do you call uh, writing? As we discussed the project, everyone was asking about what is the project and all, right? Like uh, maybe the assignments we call it. So anyone has done like 500 words story, check that in the Google 500 word story to make it in 1,000 words. Did anyone try that? Guntur Mirchi, I wrote one story. Okay, good, good. Manchi, no, busy in school. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's not that, you can try that in one day. Like it's a daily practice because, as I've told you, that will really improvise your creative skills because whatever we have discussed in these sessions, I mean, last sessions I'm talking about. So, I mean, I need to reiterate the same thing. Like we are not anywhere. If you go to any school or anywhere, you are not going to learn the creativity. We are learning the technique, how to write. So in order to improvise your creativity, you need to follow few things where, as I've told you, the 500 words of a story, you take it like 300 words, sometimes you get 400 words of story, make it to 1,000 words. So as I've discussed, if anyone missed, I'm just repeating the same thing. So how you make a 500 word story to 1,000 word story? How you make it? We have three options. One is you are trying to see there is a story which you need to read it for a couple of times. Then you will come to know the soul of the story. Soul means nothing but theme, as we discussed. Theme is a message. What the exactly that writer who has written that story, maybe it's a 400 words or 500 words or whatever, what he wants to convey it. So you need to understand that. So that is the reason you need to read it for a couple of times just to make sure you get the exact soul of the story. So when you are doing, I mean, when you are doing this work, from 500 words to 1000 words, you are not like deviating from that soul. The soul should remain the same after 1000 words also. I guess I'm clear. Okay. So when you're doing that, like how you are, what are the three steps you're following in order to make it from 500 to 1000 words? So one thing is, any step you can follow it, or you can follow it with the three steps. It's up to you how you want to, convey your story. Okay. The first one is dialogue. So there should be a dialogue part in the story. See, two people are talking something, maybe any context. So if you two people are talking, so you can improvise the dialogues. In the sense, you can write more dialogues into it. Maybe you can get a context of, already discussed that context. So the context, you can increase that context. Maybe they are talking about a political scenario, maybe they are talking about an environmental scenario, or maybe they are talking about any educational, or any medical. So anything, what exactly the context they are talking about, you can go ahead and you can write the dialogues in that, and make that will increase the words. The story will expand. That's what we are exactly trying to do. And other one is, you can write or you can create a character. You can create, see, for example, two people are talking, so you can create a new character, introducing the new character, so that will increase the story length. And the third one is, you're trying to say another story in the story itself. So how do you say that? See, two people are talking and one guy is saying something. In order to say any what do we call, any conversation or any dialogue, one guy can say that he can bring up a small example story, another story that too relates to the same story. It doesn't mean that you are deviating, you're saying something. See, for example, if you want to say something about a cow, it doesn't mean that you're going to somewhere in the world and coming back to cow. It's not like that. So that story itself, I mean, another story, what you're trying to say, that it should have the same content or similar content kind of thing. So these three things, any of these three things which you try that, maybe you can try two things or three things together, no problem. But when you try this, you will be getting, I mean, I'm sure you can make it like from 500 words to 1000 words easily. So think about it. This is where, see, by doing this exercise, I'm sure you will come to know how to, expand the story, or how to make it like in a bigger picture, right? So this is a small practice, but I'm sure this will give you 100%, it will improvise your creativity, and as well as it will improvise your writing skills. So you will come to know that after some time, if you're doing for like a couple of days, maybe 10 days or 12 days, after that you will come to know, as soon as you read the story, you will come to know that, okay, this story requires a dialogue part, so I'll improvise the dialogue. Maybe this story requires a character includes, sorry, this story requires a character includes, so we are including another new character. Maybe not, it's not mandatory to include one. You can do that two characters. Maybe two characters are talking, you can include two characters in the story, which will improvise the dialogue part also altogether. So maybe you can tell another story. So this is how you will come to know as soon as you see that story. So okay, this is the story, I want to do this way, so that this makes sense. So you will come to know that. So please do this exercise. I'm sure this will definitely will help you to write or create stories. Yeah, well, we come to this today's topic. So we have discussed about elements of the story, right? In order to write a story, we need few elements, definitely, because without having those elements, or those whatever we have discussed so far, the 5 elements, so without having that, we can't go ahead and write something, because those are all the basic elements to write a story. And as well as we discussed dialogue part also. So how to write a dialogue, what exactly in the last session. So now today is a very, very important session because 3-act structure. So what is this structure all about? Uh, See, for example, when you say that, you know, any story, maybe Ramayana, Mahabharata, any story if you take, or your cook-up stories also sometimes. So you have, there is a structure in a story, right? See, first thing, if you take a Ramayana, maybe Mahabharata or whatever the stories you call it. So in Ramayana, one person is there he learned something. I'm talking about Rama, but he learned something. He got to know some, all the, skill and all. He got a very good skill. Then after that, his father said, like, you need to go to that, the forest, Aranyavas. So when we call it like when he's going, I mean, if he is not going there, actually he's obeyed to his father's word. So if he's not going there, there is no story, because he's staying in his kingdom and he's ruling his that complete kingdom and the people. It would be very normal flat story. But when he started going, that is the conflict. And when he goes there, he got some issues, hurdles, that is called obstacles. We already discussed it, right? So how to set it up, this 3-act structure? See, there is a 3-act structure. 3-act structure is nothing but this journey from the beginning to the end, what exactly the journey and how we are making that journey effective in the 3-act structure. So this 3-act structure is there in the books and as well as in the movies, everywhere. So you can, any story, you can take any story, it should be with this 3-act structure only. There are like a couple of structures in movies. I'm talking about 4-act, 5-act, 6-act. It depends on the movie length. If you want to make it a normal 2 hours or 1.5 hour movie, I'm sure it should be under 3-act structure. So the 3-act structure is nothing but, see, if you take a novel also, plotting we call it. We discussed about what is plot and all, right? So plot is nothing but when the problem starts. See, in this Ramayana, we talk about Ramayana, right? So what is the plot in Ramayana? Plot is nothing but when the problems start, when the conflict start. The conflict started that he obeyed his father's word. Then he's going into a forest. That is where the problem start, right? And how he resolved it. There is another story behind that, like that is called complete story. Plot is only the problem and the resolution. In this between that is called, whatever the story you have, that is the plot. So when we talk about plotting, we also call it, even in novels and movies, when you're writing plays also, we call it a plotting. Plotting is nothing but we are trying to, as we discussed, every story should have beginning, middle and end. So beginning is nothing but we are giving an introduction to the character, what type of character it is, where we are establishing that character. So, and we already discussed the elements, right? Story elements, place, time. See, is it a 80s story? Is it 90s story? Okay. And are we discussing about a person, or are we discussing about a family? And the beginning is nothing but we are actually introducing the characters and as well as their economical status. Everything what we have discussed in the story element, we are trying to introduce that. In the conflict also we are introducing. See, conflict is nothing but there is something. See, in the beginning of the Ramayana, you take if you see that there is a conflict which just started. So when, I mean, he's going into a forest or the Aranyavasam, then what happened into there? I mean, before that, we are giving some introduction to the conflict. So every story we need to give some introduction of the conflict. So what will happen in this story. Uh, or we can say that in the beginning, we also mentioned that this type of story you're gonna see, because yeah, as an audience, maybe as a person, the reader I'm talking about, if it is a novel, you will come to know that okay, this type of story I'm gonna read, or this type of story I'm gonna watch. So you will come to know that with the beginning, middle. It's going to be like complete drastical. See, first of all, you are with the one uh, protagonist, we call it, because we already discussed about what is protagonist and all. So protagonist, the person, he is going into some other place. I mean, he started with some other place. He's happy go lucky guy, but he got some issue. Okay, that is what the conflict we call it. That is the reason he is changing his goal, or maybe his journey to different direction. Okay, he's going to some other place, another world. So that is a different world. And after that, there are some hurdles he's facing there. Then after that, he's trying to see the hurdles are facing. Slowly he's trying to come out of those hurdles. Redemption. So he's coming out of that hurdles. Obviously he'll be getting not one or two, maybe he'll be getting many hurdles. So how he crossed those hurdles, that is actually the journey, obstacles we call about. So these obstacles, he is trying to come out of it. At the end, there should be some end, what he has done, how he has come out of it. This is what the story, this is the structure, right? So any story if you take, this is the structure. Okay, so that is like specific about the plot also. Exactly what we discussed about plot, that is specific about the events and how we are plotting this. So everything will depend on that. So mainly we need to know that, see, this structure is there in our blood, because I'm not saying it's a new structure which we get it from outside. I'm talking about this structure is there in Ramayana, Mahabharata, any story, even in your bedtime stories also, you can see this type of structure. A person who is a very good person, he wants to do something. That is the reason he got some hurdles, and he's trying to reach that goal, but he couldn't reach it. He again giving another try, he couldn't. Then this is the third time he is trying to do something, then he got succeeded. This is what the ending. So it is there in each and every story. So now this is the structure. Okay, so act 1, act 2, act 3, we call it the structure, 3-act structure. So what are all these 3 acts? We'll discuss more about it. So in these 3 acts, so we need to divide it with the act wise. Act 1, act 2, act 3. So for a movie we call it, even it's there in a novel, even it's there in any book writing also, but even if you talk about a movie specifically for 2 hours movie, I'll give you just an example of timings also. See, first act will take 30 minutes of time, 20 to 30 minutes, and second act will take 1 hour, because that is a lengthy act. It got a midpoint. Midpoint is nothing but an intermission, and third act is nothing but 30 minutes or 20 minutes. So total overall 30, 30 and 1 hour. So total 2 hours of movie. So if it is 90 minutes movie, it's up to you how you are dividing it. Like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, it's up to you. So main thing here is, in this act 1, act 2, act 3, the story structure. First of all, as a writer, maybe you get a question in this kind of thing, like, in order to write a story, do I need to follow all this, getting inside that my mind, that act 1, act 2, act 3, these things may be confused and all. So it's not like that. First of all, as a writer, whatever you thought, okay, whatever you thought along with this story elements, we discussed story elements, right? According to those story elements, you write a story. You write a story of your own. Then you can plotting it such a way with this structure. Then you can check the structure, because when you're writing a story, when you get all this structure and all, it's like grammar. For example, if you want to learn some language or anything, there should be some grammar. So it's like a grammar of the writing. But it doesn't mean that you are thinking about a grammar and writing something, you can't write. So better what you do is, whatever you get it in your mind, just write it. Okay. So after writing it, after you get the story, then you will, it's a kind of recheck the story, whether it got act 1, act 2, act 3. Then you will come to know, is it in the structure or not. Whatever I have written, it should be in the structure. Don't worry. Okay. So we'll talk about everything, each act, what is there in each act. So we'll come to know. See, this is like the if you see the structure or the graph, it's not a flat graph. You will see that they will get an obstacles, raising action. They will try to do something that won't work. Another one that won't work. Again, he will dip down. He or she, again he will do something, then he'll be getting some resolution kind of thing. That is the climax part. So this is how you need to, it's ups and downs, like it's a roller coaster ride. It should not be like I can go do this, he is doing something and immediately he got it. There is no story, as we have been discussing in this last sessions. Like if he's getting immediately whatever the goal is, if he's getting immediately, there is no story, right? Yep. We'll talk about act 1. So act 1 is setup. Most of the times act 1 is setup because as a reader, or the person who is watching your movie, as an audience we call it, you need to know that what exactly you're trying to watch. See, for example, we have already discussed about the genres of the movie or genres of the novels. So you will come to know this genre. This is the horror genre. This is the like suspense thriller story. So when you come to know that this is something where they need to set up first of all, in order to make you hook up in the story. As an audience, you need to hook the story. Then you will read the story completely. Then you will watch the movie completely, right? So in order to do that, we need to have some setup. Exposition, inciting incident, plot point 1. So act 1, plot point 1. Okay. So we'll discuss about detail of one by one. What is exposition? Exposition is nothing but we are actually setting up the story. So it's like we are giving a historical or political or social context for any story, or if you talk about a play, or maybe it's a book, whatever it is. So we are giving more information about it, because as we discussed about the backdrop, place, time, everything, and the character, where he is living, what is he doing, he or she, the protagonist. If you take any character, what is he doing? Is he going to college? Is he going to office? Is he doing something? And what is his backdrop? Like, is it a social? I mean, you're trying to say convey this the story in a social elements. Social means nothing. It's a contemporary, like how we are. Is it a political environment? Maybe you're trying to say that in a political manner. And we talk about a historical way. Any history, I mean, if you want to say that in the history point of view, like maybe 80s, there is a biopic. If you want to say that in a biopic kind of thing. So it's up to you and how you have designed your story. So act 1 in exposition is nothing but you're trying to prepare something, and you need to preparing like a kind of mindset. We call it preparing an auditorium, or preparing a mindset of the person who is reading the story. So we are preparing their mind, because this is the story, this is what the setup is, so this is what you're gonna read in the further. So that is what we are preparing it. And inciting incident, anyone get this inciting incident? What exactly? Anyone heard about it prior? No one is answering. Anyone heard about this inciting incident earlier? Yes, sir. What it is? Any idea? Maybe it's there. No, no problem. Inciting incident is nothing but, see, we are trying to tell a story. The main thing is we are trying to tell a story. So one incident which makes we already discussed about. See, this is the beginning. The first act is in the exposition is beginning. And what is beginning? We are trying to convey the story, the world of the the character, hero, or maybe you call it a protagonist, he or she, protagonist world we are trying to introduce. So from this world, in order to go to another world, that is nothing but a conflict. So in order to go to that conflict journey, there is some inciting incident which makes high, okay, which makes a path. Actually, this is actually a path where it's traveling the journey. Hero's journey, we call it. From this place to, from the beginning, he's having his own world. From this place to another conflict, he's jumping into conflict. There is some inciting incident that should hook up your audience first of all. Oh, that is really great thing. That is how you need to create it. Okay, example of inciting incident, if you take a Dangal movie, maybe most of the people have seen that movie. If you take a Dangal movie, you can see the inciting incident is nothing but where, see, Dangal movie, if you take in a exposition and all this very first act I'm talking about, it's like setting up what is his world, where is he living, and how about his relatives and all, and what is his dream. We are introducing everything about that person. And the inciting incident is where he is like he's actually getting an idea that his children needs to go ahead and learn something, learn the wrestling, and they need to fight for the India. That is what his goal. But he thought, I mean, in his circumstances, he thought that he got only baby girls. So how can he do that? If it is a baby girl, he thought that it would be baby boy, then he can do this. He can fulfill his dream. But he thought, I mean, he got a baby girls. Then what he has done? The inciting incident is he gets an idea. Why can't a girl fight? Maybe if you remember that one of the girl would be fighting with another guy in the childhood. Then he will get an idea. Why can't a girl fight? That is the inciting incident, because that is going into that actually bridge kind of thing. Inciting incident is nothing but that's a scene. That's one of the best scene. So that is giving an idea to a protagonist to get into another world. Then he informs to that girls, so wake up early, going into kind of whatever the exercises and all. So that is how he got an idea about it. Why can't a girl fight? Right? So that is what the inciting incident. Maybe you got a good example. And plot point 1. See, act 1, act 2, act 3, we are talking about this. So don't confuse it. Don't confuse about this, what exactly the act 1, act 2. So we will discuss each and everything in a detailed way. So act 1 is a setup. Whatever it is, we are trying to set up everything. Everything we are trying to set up. So now in a plot point 1, we are introducing the conflict, exposition, and as well as inciting incident. That is a bridge we discussed about. Now the conflict. See, in this Dangal movie, if you take also, example, so that you will come to know what exactly I'm trying to say. The plot point 1 is the same thing, where the conflict, because when he gets an idea that why can't a girl fight, that is actually the conflict, because the conservative family they have, his wife also, she won't agree 100%. She also says that why should girls would be, their family has this type of rules. If you take, that is the reason, if you take that story, they have taken the story in the village backdrop, that to conservative family, the girls should not come out. This type of restrictions were there in the family. But if you take that in a kind of city, maybe in a Mumbai city, no one cares about it. Girl can go to anywhere. So That is the main reason, and they have taken in the 80s or 90s. The backdrop also they have taken in olden days. But if it is nowadays, even in a village also, many people are coming out. They are working. They are doing many things. It's not that girls are just sitting at home. It's not like that. So when there is a conservative family, he's getting opposition from everyone, including his daughters, because they are also not interested, cut their hair. They want to come out. So that is the plot point one. See, plot point one is nothing but we are getting inside the conflict. What exactly the conflict? The main thing is, see, that is not very possible thing, because everyone in the world is opposing this guy, right? Including his family, his wife, everyone is opposing. You should not do this way. And the girls, I mean, daughters also opposing. So how he has done? He should be stubborn about what he's doing, right? So that is how they have created his character. Whatever the hurdles he's getting, still he's going through the similar way. I mean, he's crossing those hurdles. The plot point one is nothing but, see, from the from the beginning we call it plot point one is the end of the plot. You can see that in the graph in this one. So act one, there is a the one bar, like when you say that plot point one is the end of the act one. Plot point one is end of the act one. So now hero's journey is going to plot point two, or maybe I can say act two. Okay, so from act one to he's going deeper into it. Some confrontation, maybe his internal confrontation, or maybe with the external confrontation. Anything, it will come, any way it will come. So we cannot say that we should make him suffer a lot. Obviously, that is how he needs to reach his goal. I mean, he needs to cross his obstacles, and then he'll be reaching his goal. So this is like act one. Sorry, plot point one is the end of the act one. So plot point one is nothing but there is some plot which is changing into his world. Plot point one is also the similar way. When he gets an idea, when he's implementing that idea, inciting incident is he got an idea that why can't a girl fight? When he's implementing that idea, that is the plot point one. He's getting into another world, because they're the girls, I mean, they are the protagonist. If you take a protagonist, they are also one of the main lead. Okay, so that those girls are going into some other world. They cut their hair. They are like exercising every day. They are running every day. So they are taking too much of trouble, right? Because that type of conservative families, they should not come out, but still they are coming out, and they have done a different. They have created a different world. Running, exercise, jumping, and all these things, they are doing it. They are fighting. So we are getting into different world. That is called the plot point one. That's nothing but a turn of the story. Story is normally we are going into something, and the plot point is a turn. Okay. And next, act two. Act two is a confrontation. Confrontation is nothing but maybe, as we discussed, confrontation is a conflict raising. We have introduced, this is the conflict according to his village, or maybe the conservative family, their relatives, everything. According to this scenario, this is the introduction of the conflict, and we are going to confrontation, raising the action. And midpoint, we discussed about all these points, midpoint and plot point two. So raising the action. What is raising the action? See, whatever we have introduced, that it is his new world. He or she, protagonist, new world. We are creating a new world with the conflict, right? So how we raise the action? Because when we raise the action, the author, the person who is reading, or maybe the person who is watching the movie, he should hook up the story. Okay, so slowly he's turning them into kind of he's giving a training every day. I'm talking about Dangal again. He's giving a training every day, and they are trying to learn something. So that is actually raising the action, completely involving into their they have grown old. I mean, in a sense, adult, and they'll be ready right now to fight. They His goal is, I mean, whatever they are doing, his goal is they want to fight for the nation. That is what his goal. So he's actually teaching something. Whatever he learned, he's teaching. So with the conflict, the action would be raising. That would be hook up to an audience. That means audience would be engaging. Yeah, this makes good. I mean, that is how the story develops. And we call about midpoint. So midpoint is nothing but in Hollywood movies, you can say that midpoint, there is a midpoint. Every movie we can see the midpoint. Midpoint is nothing but we have come to half of the movie. We have completed half of the movie. So half of the movie is there. But in our Indian movies we have intermission. But in Hollywood movies you can't find the intermission and all. But midpoint is there in each and every story. So he has come to half of the story. So what is the midpoint? Midpoint is nothing but where the other person or the antagonist. See, here if you take in Dangal example, who is the antagonist? Is there any person? No, nothing. You can't find a person. There are no antagonist. But situation itself is an antagonist. I mean, situation or that environment which creates, that is an antagonist. So what is the midpoint? Midpoint would be false victory, false loss, or maybe the defeat, and a big reveal, a big twist, we call it. He is not a normal guy. He's from a good background. He got a very good. He's a wealthy guy. He got a very good background from the political something. The twist we are revealing. That is the midpoint. So in this Dangal movie, if you take example of this, so what is the midpoint? See, he's putting his blood and soul in order to give a training to them. After that, one point, that girl will be come to know that he doesn't know anything. He's like he is in the village only. So there is a disagreement between those people. She'll be going into academy to learn more about it, and without even informing to his father. That means whatever the struggle he has done from the beginning of the story, that is the waste. I mean, that becomes nothing. I mean, comes to zero return, we call it. Midpoint is, again, he is coming to zero. That is a defeat. So whatever he has done from the beginning of the story, in the midpoint, she is going into, she has gone actually in that place I'm talking about, in that situation. She has gone without informing him. She has gone to academy to learn more about this wrestling, because she understood that he is a stubborn guy, and he's like kind of he doesn't know anything about this fight and all. It's like he knows something. That's it. So that is the disagreement of the opinions. Like maybe they both got the different opinions, and whatever he has done from the beginning of the story, that's going to be zero. That's how it should be. Either it's a false victory again, false defeat. Because why we are saying it's false? Because the story is not completed yet. Because we are in the middle of the story. That is midpoint. Now we'll go to plot point 2. Plot point 2 will come the similar way. The end of the act 2. Plot point 2 will come the end of the act 2. How the plot point 1 came, the similar way. So what is going to happen in plot point 2? Plot point 2 is happening like there is another turn. See, plot point 2 is, it's completely his again it will become a disaster kind of thing. So here in this Dangal movie, if you see that, she will come to know that, she realizes after this midpoint. That is the reason midpoint we discussed that it's a false. Okay, false defeat of a protagonist. Whatever his dreams, whatever he wants to become, everything got collapsed in the midpoint. That is false defeat. Then again, slowly she will come to know, okay, my dad is also, he also knows something. So slowly she is talking to him. But he also agrees that, okay, try and learn from the academy itself. Stay there and learn from the academy, because there is some pattern. You will go to that and you will reach the finals, and you will you will fight for the national, right? So that is how they will get into an agreement. Okay, she will also talk to him and making a phone call, and he will also talk to her. So that is how they will patch up again. Then after that, what will happen? This academy people will say that this person should not come inside. Again, the disaster happened, because he is giving a training, or he is giving some instructions, and the other coach also giving some instructions. That is the main reason this person who is taking the training, she will get confused. Obviously, see, I'm telling you something. If other person comes and saying opposite or whatever I'm saying, it's completely in a different way, definitely you guys will get confused, right? So similar way, so two persons should not give a training to that. Either one person should take it. So the academy people will say that you should not come inside. So how can he do that? I mean, this is not. That is the main reason they have not taken that story in nowadays. Also, I mean, contemporary, because we have a phone. At least you can talk it in. You can make a video call and do that. But he doesn't have that. Availability. There are no phones. A normal landline phones we call it. So what he has done in order to come out, that is actually a trouble. That is actually a hurdle. So what he has done, he has seen that there is a whenever she is doing a practice, okay. So that is a plot point too. So that is actually turning into, again he got some other issue where he cannot go to the academy and give some instructions to his daughter. So that is again becoming some issue. So in that at that situation, what he is doing, he is taking one video. I mean, video means there is a CC camera. He's taking some footage, and he's playing that in one of the internet place. He's going into some internet place and playing that, and he's making a note of that, and he's giving instructions over the phone, over the landline. So this is actually again disaster. I mean, that is how this happened. Maybe if we take it in a contemporary, nowadays the story is happening. It's very easy, right? You can make a video call. He can talk to her. But the thing is, they have taken story in 80s or 90s. The backdrop is older, so you cannot say that video call immediately. You cannot do that. So you need to do it in other way. So he got some hurdles. So how is returning over? Returning from that hurdle or crossing that hurdle. So this is the plot point 2. Act 3. So again, next thing will come to Act 3. That is the resolution. So what is Act 3? Act 3 is complete a resolution. If you see that in the picture, once we complete that plot point 2 or Act 2, then we are going into Act 3. Act 3 is it's not compulsory. We should have everything in Act 3. See, if it is 20 minutes or 30 minutes, if you are decided that this is Act 3, so it got a resolution. It got a what exactly happened at the end. See, she is practicing. He is giving all the instructions, and what happened at the end? I mean, is he or maybe she reached that goal, whatever the final. So this is like a curious thing. See, it's a nail baiting match, we'll say that. So that is how we will come to know that what exactly happened, what will happen to this, how they come out of all these hurdles. So we'll be eagerly waiting for that, right? Act 3 is nothing but a climax. It's not that your climax is you're saying everything. Okay. we call it in Act 3 climax. Everything is there. Pre-climax, everything is there. So first of all, we'll talk about pre-climax, then we'll talk about climax. Okay. So pre-climax. Pre-climax is nothing but when this story is trying to end. That is climax. Before going into climax, we have pre-climax. That would be adventurous. That would be suspense. See, this is also called dark night of the soul. This is just a terminology. We call it dark night of the soul. Nothing but hero will become a zero. So where it happened in Dangal movie, if you take an example of this pre-climax where everything is ready now. She is ready to fight. She got instructions from, not from she didn't take the instructions from the coach. She took instructions from her dad. Okay, he has given over the phone. So now she is ready to fight. It's a final battle. You can take it's a final battle. But some again this issue happened, right? I mean, some issue should happen. It's going in a smooth manner. As a writer, we won't like it. So, which is called a dark night of the soul is nothing but it's a return to zero. Whatever he has done from the beginning, it's completely returning to zero. What happened? Someone locked him inside the room. If you remember the story, someone locked him inside the room. So that is again, it's completely locked. He cannot come out. He cannot watch it, and he cannot give instructions because he is giving a valid inputs to her so that she is winning till now. But he is closed. He's like kind of arrested in a room. So what she will do? Who will give a feedback? Who will give the improvement of that? So round one, round two, it's going like this. Then how she will come out of this situation? This is the pre-climax. Pre-climax is nothing but he just locked it. That is again whatever he has done from the beginning of this, all his efforts will becoming zero. I mean, we call it a hero becomes zero. So he how we show that as a writer, how we show that is he doesn't have any other option. Maybe she will fail. That is how we will portray the story. Okay. So then climax. What is climax? Climax is it's taking a high point. So she comes to know that. I mean, she'll be searching for her father actually. Where is he? Where is he? She doesn't know. She's in the ring inside that fighting place. So final battle, round one, round two is happening. So what action she will take? So she'll be recollecting her father words. What are all those words? If I am there or not, this is your fight. You need to fight. See, if you see the father or not, you need to fight. This is your own fight. So that is how he trained in such a way. If you see me or not, if I'm there or not, but you need to fight. This is your fight. That is how he prepared. So she will recollect all these words. Then she will fight. What happened after that? Maybe, of course, she won, and it's completely she got a gold medal kind of thing. That is a happy ending. You call it. It's a conflict. Whatever the conflict we have, we are resolving the conflict here. That is what his goal is. Conflict is nothing but his goal because he didn't have that goal from the beginning of the story. So there is no movie or there is no story. You call it, right? That is the ending of the story. Denouement. What do we call this denouement? Denouement is nothing but we have anything left over. Here, the one interesting part we will see that one is resolution. Okay, resolution is different, and climax is different. Climax is when the story comes to a final part. The story where we have started, that is coming to a final part. That is climax. Climax of the story. But resolution is you take one issue, any issue, you are resolving it. Any issue. See, his dream is to get inside of that and win the nationals. That is what his dream. That got fulfilled at the climax. Okay, and what is the resolution? Resolution, if there is any issue, if you are taking it, you're resolving it. See, undercurrent, in the sense, subtext we call it undercurrent, what exactly he resolved. See, there is a woman empowerment in this story. That is the theme of the story, right? As we discussed, in the conservative family, everyone opposed him. Everyone is like, why girls should be, fighting, kind of all these things. Everyone is kind of worried about this family. Then now everyone is watching her, I mean, this person, the protagonist, taking a gold medal, watching in front of the TV, right? So that is the resolution. He is giving a new path. He is giving a new direction. Because girls, it doesn't mean that they have to sit inside, they have to get married. It's not like that. They have to come out and do something. This is what they are giving a resolution in the theme. We call it a resolution as well as that theme, whatever the ideology behind making this story or writing this story. So denouement is nothing but we need to have few things like untie the knot. See, we have already tie something. We are trying to untie the knot. If there is anything, hidden things, we call it also. We are trying to resolve it, or we are trying to give some conclusion out of it. It's not that resolving something. We are giving a conclusion. We are giving our ideology at the end of the story as a writer. So we are fulfilling our dreams. Like we call it. There is a one thing called Chekhov's gun. Chekhov's gun is nothing but, see, we plan something in the story. This will happen. See, for example, there is a time bomb. If you put a time bomb in the story, in that one of the place, we are showing that in the story. Yes, there is a time bomb. Within a 1 hour, it will blast. There are crowd available. So in this 1 hour, what happened? That is the story. So Chekhov's gun is nothing but when it will gonna, shoot, kind of thing. We'll fix it before itself. We are informing to audience that there is a time bomb, something gonna, blast. So obviously the person who is reading the book or who is watching the movie, it would be like a nail baiting. What will happen? How they'll come out of it? Many people are there. Now what will happen? This is how you will get a curious, right? So that is what the Chekhov's gun, we call it. Whatever we have tied up, whatever we have done in the Act 1 and Act 2, in this denouement, we are trying to resolve it, or just giving some any loose ended, we call it. We are giving some conclusion out of it at the end of the story. It's up to you. It's not that it's a mandatory. This is not a mandatory till climax. Yeah, that is actually a structure. Mandatory means that is structure, but this is just a part. If you have anything left over, you are just giving a conclusion out of it. So that is called the denouement. So yes, guys, questions? Maybe I just not load it. Any questions, guys? KV Darshan. Sir, any assignments? Yeah, that is what I have informed you in the beginning of the class, right? The assignment, make it 500 words to 1000 words. That is actually one of the best assignment I can say. Manvita, definition of plot 2 in one word. Definition of plot 2 in one word means it's not a I mean, I'm not saying it's a definition, but plot 2 is, again, it's coming to the hurdles, whatever we have set it up, the hurdles. Plot 2 is, again, it's coming to, after midpoint, the plot 2 comes, it comes to 0 again. Whatever he has done, all the the trouble or the struggle, is becoming to zero. Every point it should be like that. Even in midpoint, it should be like that. Even in plot point two, it should be like that. What will happen? Whatever he has done, it's a waste, right? So that is how, as an audience, we should feel that. Plot point two also same thing. What is this? He has done this many. He has done so much of struggle, but it's becoming waste. That is how you need to create a story. Then only it would be engaging to an audience. Otherwise, if it is going in a normal way, so I don't have an interest to watch or read that story. Um, one second, guys. Rajshekhar. So can we make an imaginary backdrop? Yes, you can make it. We can take an example of, Bahubali. That is the imaginary backdrop because it's not there in the history. Himanshi. So conflicts and resolution comes under plot. Conflicts and resolution comes under plot. Yeah, till resolution, it comes under plot. As we discussed, plot is nothing but when the conflict starts, when the conflicts end. That ends at resolution only, right? So that comes under plot only. KV Darshan, how to write stories on non-living things. You can see that is up to you how, I mean, how you want to narrate it, because non-living things, for example, if you want a story, if you want to write a story about any anything about a book, or maybe about what do we call a laptop or anything, so you need to create it in such a way. It doesn't mean that we need to follow the structure kind of thing, but how you are making in the story, you can make that as a character also. You can make a book is a character also sometimes in the story, or a laptop is a character, because whatever the importance you are giving it to in the story, so that non-living thing also becoming a character in the story. Manvita, yeah, we already discussed plot point two. What is the impact of Manvita midpoint? Yeah, very good question. See, impact of the midpoint, we are saying that we are not, the story is there, obviously, because it's not a conclusion or end of the story, right? So half of the story is there. So impact of the midpoint is hooking up an audience. For every plot, it's like we are hooking up an audience. First plot point one, plot point two, or midpoint, everything where we are hooking up an audience. Audience should feel that what will happen next, how he will come out of it. This is actually, it should be like, I mean, we already obviously, yeah, as an audience, if you think how he will come out of this struggle, he is into complete deep, what he will do to come out of it. So that is how you need to create it. Midpoint or plot point to everything you need to create in such a way that impact should be there. Impact, how we are creating, as we discussed in the midpoint, false victory, false loss, or maybe some big reveal, maybe the twist we call it. He's not an ordinary person, he's coming from, maybe many movies you might have seen that. So he's not an interval bank, or maybe you can call it what do you call intermission. You will see that a person is coming from, he is actually doing something, a normal local work. Some main person will come, and a very good officer or maybe other person will come and he will salute him. So that means he has already into a army or something else. He's in a very good position. He was into very good position. So, but he is doing something, hiding his identity, something like that. You can see many movies actually. So, what is the impact of the midpoint? Yeah, we discussed it. Any questions, guys? I hope you got it with no questions. Thank you. Because the taking of the example of you know the Dangal movie, maybe you got a good idea about all the structure. So I'm sure you know but make sure it's not that mandatory to be in the structure. Don't think more about structure. Just you should know, see, this is how the structure is. You should know this. That's it. So first write the story, then you will come to know. Automatically, it will be in structure only. So if there is any deviations, you can correct it later point. But first of all, you need to write first. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.